So after J.K. Rowling, this is the one we probably should have led with this one because it's absolutely bonkers.
It is.
James Cameron says that he can relate to Thanos' plan to just off billions of people.
Am I vindicated now on saying that Way of Water was extremely anti-humanity?
Look, I think when it boils down to it, it's great for a soundbite, but I think he's edgelording to be like to keep himself.
If he's edgelording, he's way too old to be doing that.
Yes, like the criticism should be like, "Hey, dork,
he's talking about this because there's like the tree hugging climate propaganda from Avatar that was, not really accepted back in 2010 as much by executives, but he went ahead with it and it was well liked.
Yeah.
I think in spite of that. And then now movies like Infinity War are using a similar plot line where like the Earth is so like ravaged by human corruption and like just like it's so polluted both spiritually and actually in the environment that you have to like destroy part of humanity to keep the Earth alive. That's Thanos's belief system.
Nobody's
right?
better at propaganda than the people who make videos about climate change. It's the music is super serious. It's scary.
The same thing as assisted suicide and euthanasia, essentially.
Yep.
So here's what James Cameron said. It might have been a joke. It might not have been. He said, I can relate to Thanos. I thought he had a pretty viable answer. The problem is nobody is going to put up their hand to volunteer to be the half that has to go.
It has to be like he's too smart. He's not an idiot.
And I think white males with too much testosterone in their bodies should go first.
On the ship, 'cause it'd be cool if he turned it into a flat Earth thing. He's like, and we're gonna fill a boat of people to push off the edge of the Earth, and white men are gonna be the first ones on that boat, and we're gonna measure you by testosterone level, and then off the side of the planet you go.
It's crazy to hear that from him because like his whole career is actually like quite impressive if you think about it. His track record. I think he was like a truck driver before, and
Me too.
he was like
really
very like started from square one and made an empire and made a name for himself, and that's like a really good thing. And he did it through like blood, sweat, maybe tears, but also just like a pioneering spirit that is essentially masculine and requires testosterone. And
it's
now
like
he wants to turn on that.
Well, no, it's like, no, it's pulling the ladder
up. He's eliminating the competition by now claiming
that
that's like, testosterone is a toxin.
It's like with Joaquin Phoenix after he wins his award, talking about how we need to make changes to help marginalized communities. They always pull the they're actually really talented when you think about it, because what they do is they pull the ladder up behind them while patting themselves on the back at the same time. It's actually quite a feat.
The dexterity. Is impressive,
it's good. I'm impressed. Look, he's an edgelord. He's a dork.
What if he was serious? I feel like I don't know who reads Time magazine anymore, but like, they didn't really write it in a way that suggested he was quipping or joking.
They point that out in the article. They're like, yeah, we couldn't tell if he was kidding or not. So that's good, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like. Who would be an equivalent of someone like, imagine Donald Trump said this. The articles that would be written would be incredible.
Right.
Like, unhinged former president declares his love of the idea of depopulating
Another thing is, this Time article starts by saying, James Cameron wanted a vegan set on Avatar: The Way of Water. Anything less would be hypocritical. So he's talking about the catering, essentially, that he ordered for the crew and the cast. It had to be vegan because, quote, we couldn't lecture oil companies and turn around and eat hamburgers.
Why not?
Genuine question. Why not?
I'm actually asking that.
Why is it that like the only changes we can talk about making in regard to like saving the climate are changes that reduce my individual quality of life? Meaning shorter showers.
Well, you ride on
less
private
meat,
jets.
Yeah, less animal products. I can't wear leather, and you get to ride on private jets around the globe. preaching at us.
Yeah. Or they just fly to wherever
But
they
we
need
don't
to go.
have
They
to
don't
talk
need
about
drive.
like the mega corporations that actually, I mean, we don't talk about like the actual polluters of the earth.
China and India.
Exactly. China and India's mega corporations that are not regulated in any way.
It's gonna go on forever,
Unrelated,
too.
but it's just like I'm fed up with this, and why is it coming from somebody who has no expertise on the matter?
I can't wait for like the document. Okay, this would be great. There would be a documentary, like a Hulu documentary one day about the cast and crew, or they'd be about the crew. Like eventually, like one crew member, like a camera operator, will start a social media page and he'll get famous. And one day they'll make a documentary about his job trying to live vegan on the set of Way of Water.
I want to find out what the carbon footprint of Way of Water is.
Like I'm picturing him like he's like trying to get the shot, but he can't keep his hands up because he's so damn tired. Because he's got no energy. Because he's got no meat.
If you really calculate it objectively, it must take a bigger carbon footprint to process fake meat products than to just give people real meat.
Just lecturing people while making the movie, which has a carbon footprint, is annoying.
Think of the trans people, Mary.
Honestly, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to do better.
Do better.
I'm going to listen, and I see you, I hear you, you're valid.
Like,
I mean, the native avatars
learning.
didn't have real food to eat either, so
Okay,
I'm still learning and growing.
This could be a pushback. What if he actually did, like, say, I'm just kidding, but, and they just cut that shit out of the interview. They're like, let's make him look as unhinged as possible.
James Cameron just thinks he's the shit, and it's like frustrating because in a lot of ways he is.
He sounds like a guy who lost an Oscar to his ex-wife.
Wait, is this true?
Hurt Locker.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
2010?
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
He's still bitter about it.
And now
bitter.
all of what he does is like compensating.
Exactly, yeah.
as a
Oh yeah, they
result.
made a South Park episode about that.
Yeah.
Where he kept raising the bar.
Yeah.
The Leo DiCaprio not getting an Oscar meme kind of went on for too long.
Oh yeah,
Speaking of
sleeping
which.
naked.
Well, yeah,
beside
when
a
he
dead
finally
horse,
got
like,
it,
"Oh!"
like when he finally got it, they were like,
like
did
so
he-
anticlimactic.
How did you get it for The Revenant, but not for Wolf of Wall Street? Like
Oh my
that
gosh.
doesn't make any sense.
Toxic
And also
masculinity.
kind of further proves the point that it's all just kind of fake anyways, right?
Right.
Like if you're
Who
giving
cared about Oscars anyway?
if it was actually about the art, it wouldn't matter that he hadn't won it yet. It would matter that it was the right
Yeah.
movie to it. But
They
but it
actually
doesn't.
start talking about Oscars in this article as well, and like the nature of, you know, low budget Oscar bait, preachy type of movies.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say Tar is one of them versus the big blockbusters like Way of Water. How, you know, the blockbusters are overlooked when it comes to award season because you know, it takes away supposedly from the prestige of the award and like what it means for art. But I thought about this like as analogous to record labels. Like you have the big artists that are like commercially viable, like a Taylor Swift or like, you know, Billie Eilish
Yeah.
or all of these rappers, you know, like all of these big names make it possible for the record label to also fund smaller artists that then, you know, get a platform off of it. So like the blockbuster brings people to the theaters and the theaters are then able to show movies that don't make them a profit because people go to the movie theater to see Way of Water and not to see Tar.
Yeah, that's
you know?
I mean, in a lot of ways, they owe
It's
a
an
lot of it to...
ecosystem that is like that you should recognize it as a symbiotic relationship because like they have such an elitist mentality that's like a zero-sum game between real art and like commercial product.
You could look at
They
Way of
can't.
Water as commercial art. That's not like, at the very least, it has a message that seems to be.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like a false dichotomy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like it's funny too. 'Cause, I mean, that's one of the things that I talk a lot about. I talk a lot about the idea of like where art and commerce constantly intersect. You get it's the executives versus the artists. which is why when certain people get too much power, it doesn't always work. Look at what happened when Patty Jenkins finally she didn't just get to direct the movie, she got to write and direct Wonder Woman 2. Look how that turned out. A lot of people would make the argument that George Lucas not having anyone to tell him no when they made the prequels wasn't necessarily a good idea. Like art and commerce, you do need people that say no. You do need people that understand the consumer every bit as much as you understand the art. It's why marketing is such an art form for them, right? Like there is a whole genre or genres of movies that are very hard to market because it's not easy to cut a trailer in a way that will bring people to the theaters. But a lot of times they're not expecting those movies to make a ton of money in the theaters anyways. A lot of those movies were expected to make a little bit of money in the theaters and a lot more money on home video and DVD sales. But the problem is that's not headline worthy.
Back to like the headline worthy statement that he made though, like about Thanos. I think whether he was being an edgelord and just joking around or whether he was stone cold serious about what he said.
I wish we could see his face.
I think it comes from actually like a genuine belief system that he thinks like humanity is a problem that needs to be extinguished.
The climate activist in him makes it far more likely that he's actually nuts and believes this.
Like he is, from what it seems, militantly vegan, thinks that that's a solution to anyone's problems, which is like eye roll level stupid. And he made this movie, for all of its strong points, which I'm totally willing to talk about too. It does have an anti-humanity message. And also I think it kind of demonizes the like human pioneering instinct that has
exploration
of exploration, but also just like our draw to like just survival. Like imagine this world where the earth is uninhabitable and maybe it has something to do with natural consequences of our actions, but it's also just like something that was totally out of our control and we need to survive by colonizing a different planet and it happens to have another species. Why is that 100% seen as a moral
why is
it wrong that we want to survive and it's right that the Na'vi want to survive? Why is that? And why are the Na'vi somehow inherently more enlightened and ethical than us?
Well, the idea would be
why do they have harmony with their planet and with their creatures, but we have lived in disharmony with our planet and our like animals for all of human history? It just doesn't make any sense other than a fundamental belief underneath the story that human beings are just,
inherently evil
and should be eliminated.
Also, at what point do you just accept that maybe the people that are now pushing forward to colonize another planet, or the people that regrettably understand that rolling back will never work and that maybe the planet is beyond saving, but that wasn't their decision. They did not assume that was true, right? Are you to demonize the people who now have to inherit that problem?
Exactly. The people who are running the military in Way of Water, they were born into an uninhabitable Earth.
Yeah.
They're forced to survive.
That doesn't make them bad.
And that doesn't make them bad. Yeah. I mean, I forget the villain's name now.
I already forgot.
The guy in Avatar?
Yeah, the guy who's like trying to kill Jake Sully.
Yeah,
Google it.
Yeah, I already forgot his name.
But you can say he as an individual is a bad guy, but he's also like, I feel like James Cameron positioned him as like representing humanity's worst
Colonel
aspects.
Miles Rick Quaritch.
Oh
Quaritch.
Quaritch. Yep. But
I didn't appreciate that undercurrent, but I can also recognize that there was a good like family structure shown and a strong father figure shown in Jake Sully, and that's something we don't often see in movies now.
It's kind of shocking to me that that's as rare as it is, but not really. Like when I think about the way that entertainment has gone in the last 20 or 30 years, But I don't know if he was serious. But his climate change activism, like that is absolutely a talking point from plenty of people who aren't willing to admit that, you know, maybe before we do that, we discuss China and India.
Well, once
Like,
again,
before we take out half the planet, let's talk about like places
the
other than
climate
America.
stuff
Right.
is once again an ethical posturing where like your ethical decisions are only refraining from doing things.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy and low effort to say you're a moral person and a virtuous person just because you refrain from doing X and Y.
I guess it's like
eating meat. You refrain from, you know, keeping the
Right.
faucet
Why
on
don't
while
you
you
go pick up
brush your
trash
teeth.
or something?
and Elon.
Where you're a good virtuous person because you recycle. Like, no, like you should be seen as virtuous because you have compassion for people.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess also maybe there's a distinction here between like people that are doers and people like for a person who's not like an Elon Musk who can start a company or is really intelligent and can work towards plausible outward solutions. Rolling back is like how a person with a good heart, but maybe not the intelligence to work on the problem itself, feels like they're involved. And I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with that. I think what becomes wrong with it is when it's weaponized against the population
I mean,
by
why
people with agendas.
why is being good at making movies not enough for him, honestly?
You'd
That's
think,
what I'm
right?
wondering.
You'd
And then
think.
he's also kind of it's expressed in this interview as well that he's cut out his way in Hollywood to be a jerk face. And people appreciate him for it, and it's like
face?
For being a jerk face?
yeah, like
He's made
like
his
about
brand.
you know the shoot of Titanic and how emotionally taxing it was for Kate Winslet, and she hinted that she wouldn't work with James Cameron again because he would just like be a jerk and yell at people all the time.
Yeah.
Across the cast and crew of all levels, and on one hand, that's because you need to be tyrannical in order to like get a product made.
A good
but
director has to be tyrannical. Like
there's a
when-
limit, though.
No, okay, yeah.
There's
yeah.
Actually, I don't
there's
know.
a
I
bit
gotta-
of a
At
when it comes to like ruining Shelley Duvall's like mental health
like
because of making a movie, like
But did they film it?
is it right? No. Did it make the product better? You could argue that.
Right.
you'll get better results going the more tyrannical route than you will going the Olivia Wilde route. You will. Like collaborative,
Olivia Wilde
which is
route?
like we're all like everyone's
Having
got
sex with your cast?
Yes, well that too. Everyone has input. Everyone's respected. This and that. Those are fantastic slogans and buzzwords.
But
that's
you know
not
that's
how
even
good.
more toxic than having
Yeah.
the anger on the outside.
It's not how actual corporate art gets made at that level. It's just not. There's too many moving pieces. There's too many people to manage. There's too much to do that it can't be a woo-wee kumbaya. Let's all get together and get along thing. They've still got deadlines. They've got financiers. They've got like expectations that they need to meet. Right? Like they're looking to make a profit, and you don't profit off feelings. It's like when people say like you don't like Twitter. Twitter likes don't fill your bank account. Like it's not going to work. You have to, at a certain point, decide that if it's your vision, it's your project, or in this case, if it's, James Cameron, he writes and directs, right? So if you're the director and a studio puts you in charge of this project, a studio that's not Marvel, who's really the one that's in charge, you're expected to deliver on something. And, at least back in the day before you failed upwards in Hollywood, now you fail upwards. Now they're like, fantastic, not making any money on that movie. How about helming this
Good
Marvel?
for you.
And it's funny, too, because we see it as failing upward, but if anything, they're actually given less control. When they finally get that big Marvel movie, they're actually getting less control and being less creative than they would be on their own projects.
Of getting an opportunity to
Yeah,
create
it's clout.
something. And I think they know that, and they still are happy with it because they're emotional kindergartners.
Well, and it's the same thing as the people who they've accepted that they're going to be tokenized and they're okay with it.
It's like when you're like, you're playing, checkers with an adult as a kid, and they let you win.
Yes.
Like it's literally that,
They're like, oh,
and they're like happy about it. They like to know that they're being proselytized to.
and they know that there will be social media, like they're like, sure, I'm not going to get to actually have any say or creative input in this movie, but there will be articles written about me. I will be lauded as some type of amazing artist, and maybe that's enough to keep them warm at night. Maybe
I
just
guess
being,
so.
maybe the illusion of being seen as like an auteur director or as somebody who's actually talented. And some of them, you know, I'm not saying that they're not talented. I'm saying, but the all of the adulation that they will receive is enough for them. Therefore, you know, maybe the business person inside them says, maybe it's not true in this respect, but it will lead to the opportunity, the clout I will gain by doing this movie. However little input I may have may lead to me being able to have more input on the next one because my status will have been raised in Hollywood. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.